Hey, Leo Rising. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about Saturn's transit into Pisces and Pluto's tipping its toe into Aquarius this year, 2023. These are going to be significant energy changes, and we are all going to feel them in a very strong way, which is why I wanted to do this video and put these things together. It's a little bit extensive, but at the same time, I think that there is an important synergy about these transits. So I kind of wanted to dip my toe into it. So here we go. These videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Leo, I'm talking Leo rising. If it's a Leo moon or a Leo sun, this is still applicable to you, but the house structure will not be the same. If you don't know your rising sign, go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time of birth and your location, and you'll be able to determine your information. These are also based on Pacific time zones. So if I mention a day and a time, if you're not in the Pacific time zone, please adjust for your location on the planet. All right, so Leo rising. The first thing I want to talk about is Saturn entering your 8th house of Pisces. Saturn by nature, the very first thing anyone says when they talk about Saturn is that it's repressive, that it can feel depressing, that things can feel like they slow down, as if somebody has thrown a wet blanket on the situation. And while all of that is very true, I believe that Saturn is really your friend. Saturn wants to build things on sustainability, not on potential. Saturn wants to look at things from a realistic point of view. Now, I want to redefine what realistic is, because most humans will go immediately to human structure. It's realistic to see the number of dollars in my bank account, and this is what I have. It's realistic to see this type of body that I have. But what I believe is that Saturn, especially here in the 8th house, is looking for transformation. It's looking for, Saturn is saying, what do you believe about yourself, Leo? Because that is the basis with which you will then manifest on. So I believe that part of this Saturn and Pisces energy is to recognize the synergy between these two energies. Initially, Saturn may feel unemotional. Going into an emotional, empathetic, compassionate sign like Pisces may feel very jarring. And then at the same time, Saturn rules history, Pisces rules ancestors. There is something going on here that is offering us an opportunity to master our own spirituality. And when I say spirituality, I mean an awareness of our thoughts, an awareness of the divine laws of the universe, similar to the idea of gravity. Science has proven that gravity is a divine law on this planet. What goes up will come down. The law of attraction is as palatable and as potent as gravity, and yet we do not use it that way, at least not in a conscious way. So I believe that that's what Saturn is going to do as it goes into the house of Pisces, and this being your 8th house is all about transformation, about an awareness, a reality check, where illusions will be broken, where anywhere you've been codependent or inadvertently been dominant of another will start to crumble and erode. This is Saturn here is a place that wants to take on and be disciplined and be really honest with myself, be accountable for the depths of my emotional body. The 8th house by nature rules other people's money. It rules death and taxes. It rules sex. It rules a deep psychology. It also rules the occult. Now we add the idea of Pisces on this, which is a very spiritual sign. And when I say spiritual, that feels like such a broad term. Spiritual to me is an awareness that I am not the only thing, and this planet is not the only source of life and for experience for the soul. I feel as if there's an opportunity for Leo here to see where they have inadvertently maybe there's a need for bravery here, a need for a bit of courage so that you can implement your own creative ideas in a way that builds material resources in this 3D world. Pisces rules creativity. It rules dance. It rules song. It rules photography, filmography. It rules anywhere where we're in a fanciful place, where we imagine things that we don't necessarily. It rules unicorns. Okay. It rules avatars. It rules things that are fanciful in some ways. And here Saturn is going to come in and say, all right, that's fanciful, but where's the realistic road to manifestation? And if indeed for some reason you have not felt the courage to believe in yourself, Saturn's going to crawl up your grill and make your life a little bit difficult as it continues to chip away at all those illusions that are not serving you. We can say that Saturn is rational. Saturn rules old age. It rules the father. It rules history and time. It rules tenacity and accountability and determination beyond our emotional comfort. And here, I think that in the 8th house of Pisces, it's about the discomfort of emotional patterns that we have perpetrated throughout this physical experience that don't serve us. And Leo, it can be a little challenging because as a fixed sign, you may defend the reasons why you feel you cannot move forward. I can't do this until this comes into play. I can't do that until this person moves. And here, I think there's going to be a real, maybe a bit of a head-on collision with where you're holding yourself back and where your real true potentials are begging to be birthed up from beneath whatever, is holding you back. I want to say almost from the depths of your soul. And this willingness to look at where you potentially sabotage yourself by holding a view of yourself that doesn't serve. So let's say that you're a Leo that's a performer, because Leo's real performers, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, my comedy is too edgy. My viewpoint is too this. This is where Saturn's going to get up your grill, because Saturn's going to say to you, are you playing to the audience or are you playing to yourself? Because if you play to what you find interesting and palatable and funny and enjoyable, then as you build it, you will naturally draw in the audience that resonates with that. And the human structure will tell you, no, you must figure out what the outside wants and then deliver that. And this is where I think we're going to get into what feels like a conflict. And the more we surrender to the idea that the innovative way, the Aquarian age, where humans are moving forward, is that as we play to our individual talents and gifts and appetites, we will build friendship structures and dynamics that support that with people of like-mindedness. So I think this is super, super important. Saturn in Pisces is going to ask you to hang up any, and this sounds a little hard to say it this way, but it kind of makes sense, especially with the 8th house, anywhere you feel victimized, martyrdom, victimhood, where you have repeated stories where you lose, Saturn is going to want to blow that up. And Saturn is going to say, are you participating in that experience because you keep going back to historical times that aren't current anymore? Pisces rules ancestors. The house of Pisces rules where we leave the physical and re-emerge into the collective. It rules, if you believe in reincarnation, the patterns that we bring in as a soul into this physical experience, not to villainize, but to evolve beyond if those patterns have held us back from our true nature. And that's what all this is about. Leo rules enjoyment, fun, romance, the conception of children. It's the most fun sign of the zodiac. And the shadow side of it is to me, really kind of irrelevant. Arrogance, being boastful, coming in a room and outshining everybody. That feels like a very human perception of the dark side of Leo. Because if I'm self-actualized, you can come into a room and be as big as you want to be, and it's not going to affect me. So I feel like this is a part where when Saturn goes into Pisces in your 8th house, this is an opportunity to transform your history in a way that now really serves you to create the dynamics that foster all of that joy and pleasure that the human deserves to experience. Let me look and see. Okay. Oh, one of the other things about the idea of Pisces in the 12th house is there is a opportunity to be aware of my heart, of the yearnings of my creative body, and that my creative body is probably closer to source energy, to what is true about me than what I'm thinking and how I'm showing up in my human perception. There is a feeling of deconstruction. There's a feeling of dissolving that comes with the Piscean 12th house energy. And then we add on top of that, that Saturn is going into your 8th house, which is also in some ways a dissolving energy, as it represents death and rebirth. So let's focus on the rebirth part, because I don't think this is about physical death here as much as it's about being aware of unconscious patterns that have held you back. And then when you get frustrated, rather than surrendering to the patterns within, I think Leo tends to roar on the outside. And in that way, you're alienating yourselves from those that could support you. We're also seeing Pluto entering Aquarius for a very short period of time. Oh, wait, let me go back real quick and give you some dates about Saturn. Saturn is going to enter Pisces on March 7th, and it will remain there for 2 years. It'll leave 2026 February. Saturn has been in its 2 houses of rulership, both Capricorn and Aquarius. So moving into Pisces is going to be another layer of energy that feels very, very different, because while it's not in its rulership, it's going to take Saturn maybe a minute to adjust to the watery energies of Pisces before it really settles in and starts to create that synergy that allows us to liberate ourselves beyond our story, our history. Saturn will retrograde on June 17th until November 4th, and then it will move back forward in Pisces. In the year 2023, it's going to traverse the 0 to 7 degrees of Pisces. This is very important if you have anything 0 to 7 degrees of the mutable signs. You will see either an opposition or a square. And so pay attention to that, because I believe that these aspects are giving you opportunities for awareness, and then to pivot any movement to move the direction you'd like to go. This is also a 7-year, 2023, and we are when all is said and done in the springtime, I believe Aries season, we will have had our 7th full moon at the 16th degree. 16 reduces down to a 7. The number 7 numerology wise represents introspection from an intellectual place rather than an emotional place. It's very Libra in its willingness to be fair and balanced, looking how the dark serves the light serves the dark, and how contrast is part of the human experience that lets us feel powerful and allows for achievement. So there's a strong, strong theme going on here of an awareness of how the self is moving through these first 7 degrees, aka 7 houses that the full moon represented. First the Aries of self, then Taurus, Gemini, etc., all the way through to the Libra one that we'll see in the Aries season. Now, when we talk about Pluto moving into Aquarius, Pluto is going to only experience the 0 degree of Aquarius this year. It's going to give us just a glimpse of what will happen over the next 20 years when Pluto moves into Aquarius for that stint to 2024. So here, with your house being Aquarius, this is giving you an opportunity to really start to look at how you want to assert your power within your Aquarian energies, to renovate yourself, to experience broader. I think of Aquarius as like the World Wide Web, as the social platforms we interact on, where we make friends with people that we've never met in person. It represents it represents science and space travel and places that we experience a huge concept of how humanity can be versus what it is. It's sort of like the ninth house in some ways, but more futuristic, meaning with the technological advances that are being developed right now, and with the idea that once Uranus, that rules Aquarius, moves into Gemini, and Pluto will be in Aquarius during that period of time, we will see real big shifts in technology akin to the 90s, when cell phones started to become dominant in our everyday lives. And this is going to give you an opportunity to birth yourself in that genre. And when it comes to the seventh house, I feel like I could go to your marriage, but not all of us are married. So let's look at this from harmony, from peace, from diplomacy, from the Libran energy of wanting to take my Venusian skills and wanting to birth them in a way that creates partnership with the masses. And in this respect, I am serving humanity through my authenticity and my willingness to be authentic as I go up and down the roller coaster of the human experience. And at the same time, hold faith for that if there is something that feels like a disruption, there is wisdom to be garnished from that disruption. And my willingness to go back into my Saturn in Pisces energy and look deep into my beliefs and my ancestral habitual patterns, then I will be more aware of the opportunity to make conscious choices. That's what all this energy, Saturn moving into Pisces, Pluto moving into Aquarius, is bringing in awareness to the human of your conscious choices that will then kick in the divine laws of the universe, the laws that we are all one, Aquarian energy, the laws that everything ebbs and flows, cause and effect, the law of attraction and the law of allowing. All of these things are going to become more everyday mainstream ideas that we build our lives on moving forward in the next decades ahead. So this is very, very exciting. The one other thing I want to say about Saturn in Pisces is that there is a feeling of dissolution. Again, the human releases the body and moves into the collective here in this house. And with it being in your 8th house, which is another house that represents a releasing of one thing and moving into another energy. Technically, the physical body can die in the 8th house, and we reemerge into the non-physical in that house as well. Here, I believe this is for Leo, more about the death of the caterpillar that's been walking on this tiny little twig, looking at just these little bits that it can see. Now it goes into this metamorphosis where it literally ingests itself, except down to the very spine. And the spine becomes the platform for the evolution of the butterfly, which then emerges from the cocoon with the ability to see a greater beauty of the world as it slowly floats on the airwaves. This is what I think is being offered to you, Leo, as you move forward in this energy of surrender to the deconstruction of that which does not serve you. So, all right, so now let's go into, let me talk about Pluto's dates really quick if I haven't been clear about that. So Pluto will enter the 0 degree of Aquarius on the 23rd of March, which in astrological times is very, very close to Saturn moving into Pisces. It will move forward, staying at the 0 degree until May 1st, where it will retrograde back, and eventually on June 11th, re-entering Capricorn for revisiting those structures, revisiting that history, revisiting where we feel repressed or limited, and where we are purporting behaviors or thought processes that will not allow for our renovation. On October 11th, 2023, Pluto will move direct and re-enter Aquarius in January 2024, where it will remain there until 2044. I will be a very old woman by that time. Over the course of 2023, we're going to look at Pluto moving from, say, 27, 28 degrees Capricorn to 0 degrees Aquarius. So anything that you have within the fixed or cardinal signs within that degree, squaring or opposing, will also affect you. You don't have to have planets right in that house. So being aware of that. And I want to offer it this way, because the awareness is not about bracing stiffly for a problem. It's more about a fluidity and a willingness to be more like the Pisces energy and being fluid in some ways as you observe these opportunities to shift your focus to create solid dynamics for experiences that will be sustainable in the future. All right, so now let's go into the actual spring dates that I think are kind of interesting. On the 7th, we know 7th of March, Saturn will enter Pisces. It will stay at the 0 degree until the 15th of March. This is very powerful because the 0 degree is not only the critical degree, it's the purest degree of a sign. So we're feeling the purest, it's like birthing a baby out of the womb. And it's this whoosh into the physical. Just a short period of time later, a few like less than 8 days later, I think it is, we are seeing Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius. So here we have this infusion of this new energy that's going to feel a little, it's as if you jumped into a cold pool at first. And I want to say this, when you first get into a cold pool, of course, the water feels a little jarring and we want to get out. But if we stay for a little while, we start to adapt to it and we start to enjoy it. And being in that water becomes more comfortable than standing out of the water and feeling that cold breeze. Anyway, I hope that made sense. Let me go on, because that energy is going to be felt, and then we're walking into eclipse season. And our first eclipse is a solar eclipse on April 19th at 9:32 p.m. Pacific time, where it's at 29 degrees 50 minutes Aries. A lot of astrologers are calling this the 0 degree, and they're calling it 0 degree Aries. It's on the cusp of Taurus. So this is your 9th house, Leo, on the cusp of your 10th house. This solar eclipse is going to bring an illumination of your beliefs and how willing you have been to go into new areas, to think new thoughts, to sort of go where you've never gone before. We can superimpose on the 9th house very Sagittarian energies. Who am I? What am I? Why do I matter? Being willing to go into foreign lands, multicultural and diverse situations that offer me new opportunities of thinking in the ways I'm thinking. This also has to do with the 9th house naturally rules the legal system, the Supreme Court, master's degrees, PhDs, higher learning, and the connection to the other side. So this eclipse on the cusp of your 9th and 10th house is going to offer you an opportunity to have an illumination of some kind about what you may want to birth in the public eye. You may want to start to create some sort of revenue or some sort of money-making endeavor. And this eclipse brings an epiphany or the inspiration of an idea. On the 1st of May, Pluto will go retrograde at 0 degrees in your 7th house, making a square to the nodes. Pluto is making a square to the nodes throughout really pretty much this whole time. Pluto is going to be, the nodes are at the early degrees of Taurus and will be moving into the Libra Aries axis in the middle of the year. I believe it's around July. So Pluto is going to have an effect on the nodes, both while they're in the Scorpio Taurus axis and the Libra Aries axis. So here we're seeing Pluto really playing to some old dynamics. The South Node representing our past lives and choices and behaviors and attitudes that we bring in, that we're used to, that are comfortable and familiar. And then the North Node representing what we're stretching for to experience new and innovative things. So there is that to be aware of, because as I perceive a square it's really a tense conversation between a habitual way of being and a more evolved way that I want to foster and nurture into this experience. And that's why I'm having tension, because there's a part of me that wants to default to one reaction, and yet I'm pushing and stretching myself to react in a way that I know will serve me in a way that's more aligned to my hopes and my dreams. So be aware of this. This is going to continue on. On Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May at 10:34 a.m. Pacific time, we will have a lunar eclipse at 14 degrees Scorpio in your 4th house of home. Again, this is an illumination. This is an emotional illumination because we're talking about a full moon here. We're talking about an eclipse, which is fated events. And it's going to play back to the eclipses we had in 2022 on the Taurus Scorpio axis. The sun will be in an exact conjunction to Uranus in Taurus at 14 degrees in your 10th house. This could really I think that this could be where Leo gets really brave and wants to suddenly, stick their neck out and do something innovative in their 10th house sector. So it could make you more visible in the public eye. The sun is very visible, obviously, and the 10th house is very visible. And Uranus by nature is, I think, visible because it is different than everybody else. It's unique and individual and brilliant in its own expression. So this is an exciting time. It also marks the beginning of a 6-month cycle. On the 16th of May, Pluto is now retrograde at 0 degrees in your 7th house, and it is squaring Jupiter that has just now entered Taurus. And again, the nodes are in play here, specifically the North Node. So we're seeing this square of Pluto about what you believe about yourself and in the fixed signs. Here's Aquarius is a fixed sign, Taurus is a fixed sign, and this is an opportunity to now be flexible enough to recognize a behavior that doesn't serve you and be inflexible enough to work that regardless of what other people think. And when I say work it, I mean to massage it at its highest level so that this can now serve you. When you look at Jupiter moving into Taurus, this is a willingness to go into areas that I'm unfamiliar with. If for some reason Leo has not birthed their creativity into the world, this would be the uncomfortable moment where you get to do that. And I want to go back to the idea that if you're finding the things that you're birthing out into the world enjoyable, they will find their natural audience. And this is part of what may create tension, is you're unsure as to where that audience is, or if you are even palatable to them. And this is going to require your bravery and your courage, because, you're really not in the game until you get a heckler. That's how you know you're in the game. Okay, now on May 20th, and this will be felt between the 16th of May until about the 28th of May, Mars is going to move into your 1st house, Leo. This is exciting. Mars is super excited to be out of Gemini, out of Cancer, and now it's in a house that's fiery, just like Mars. Now it's creating an opposition to Pluto retrograde in your 7th house. Pluto again at 0 degrees. Pluto is not getting out of 0 degrees Aquarius this year. So Mars being at 0 degrees and Pluto being at 0 degrees could make you want to just jump in and take action. They're also making a T-square, or I should say a T-square to Jupiter and to the nodes in your 10th house. So where I'm going with this idea is that you could get so excited about something that you inadvertently want to birth it and it's not quite ready to be birthed, meaning being sure you've read all your notes. I'm an Aries rising and I read my notes over and over again, and I still inadvertently, mix up dates and go back and forth. And I'd like to have more Virgo energy where I could just be like, really process things, but I don't roll that way. And I say this because I don't want you to crawl up your own grill about it, as much as being aware that you could be very excited. With Mars and Leo, there could be this, I want to move. I'm so excited. I have all these ideas. I have all this passion, and I want things to happen now. And this is where that square could be like, okay, we're giving you expansion. We know that you want to move the story forward. You want to birth this into your career, but the steady pacing that Saturn is asking for in your house of transformation, in your house of creativity, Pisces, 8th house, continuing there. While this is not directly involved in this aspect, as a whole, it will be influencing it. So pay attention to that. On the 2nd of June, Saturn in Pisces will be making a sextile to Jupiter and the nodes and trining the south node in your 4th house. Now, Jupiter and the north node are exactly conjunct at 3 degrees. That's the Geminian degree. So this could be a really good time for you to birth what you've been developing over this period of time. On the 11th of June, Pluto will now retrograde, entering Capricorn, your 6th house of work. So we see an opportunity in your 10th house to stretch out into the public eye. And now when Pluto moves into Capricorn in your 6th house, it's going to require diligence. It's going to require a real forward thinking. So you stay the course, I want to say steady movements, like the tortoise and the hare. Be like the tortoise, just continue to move forward, because the 6th house also represents our health. And here, for some reason, I was going to stress with Leo, as if your mind starts to, churn and think, and you start to go to all the dark places that Pluto and Capricorn will bring up. Am I viable enough? Will people like me enough? Am I young enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I blah, 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 whatever the story is? Because I think, again, this isn't really about the physical appearance as much as it's the soul being illuminated through the physical journey. Because as Pluto moves direct in October, and when it re-enters your 7th house of Aquarius in January, I think this is an opportunity for you to create a partnership with your worldwide network, with your social platforms, and in a way now where you feel more confident and more self-assured on the journey of up and down. Some people will like me, some people won't. It's all good. It doesn't matter. I like me. I'm having fun. On January 17th, Saturn has reached its 7th degree of Pisces and is now retrograding, again, giving us an opportunity to review those first 7 degrees and how we've been processing it. Are we still inadvertently basing our actions on an old story, on potentials that aren't realistic from Saturn's point of view? And again, I want to emphasize here, Saturn is asking you what is realistic from where you believe about yourself. Because the belief in yourself is the beginning of your manifestation. You can endeavor something and not believe in yourself and have this much success. But when you believe in yourself and you're willing to go the journey of the up and the down and know that that's there, you can build something that is so sustainable that others will think you're a magical being. And it's really not magic. It's applying the laws of the universe in a conscious and intentional way. So this Saturn retrograde is really kind of a good thing right now, because it's giving you an opportunity to, again, assess where there might be hidden corners or doors that you aren't aware of. And rather than judging and villainizing them, we're just going to open those doors up. Because on the 18th, Saturn is now retrograde at the 7th degree in your 8th house, making a positive aspect to Jupiter. And we know Jupiter is around the north nodes, not quite as close now. The nodes are still probably at 3 degrees. Maybe they've moved to 2 degrees now. But here you have an opportunity to really capitalize on this energy as you birth this into your 10th house Taurus energy, Jupiter being in Taurus. This is wherever Jupiter goes, it offers expansion, it offers wealth, it offers good luck. So here, through this willingness to be steadfast and determined and not be too anxious to get into the energy, but enjoying the journey, then Jupiter's going to realign your beliefs in a way that balance you to believing that, yes, I am endeavoring things that will not only be enjoyable to me, but they will foster bounty for me in the way of material resources. Okay, Leo, that takes us to the end of spring. I will be doing many more videos on these dynamics as we move forward, because these are times that we will look back a couple hundred years from now and we will say, wow, those were fascinating times, akin to, many periods that we look back and see them as pivotal times that fostered balance and created more humanity and more connectedness within that, where we see each other from the eyes of love versus the eyes of difference. You're different than me. You're not like me. We're going to embrace those that are different and what they have to offer us. And you are part of that mix. So enjoy the journey. Don't get too worried about the destination, because there really isn't one, especially with Leo, because once you hit one destination, you're on to the next one. So enjoy the ride. All right, that's me for now. Please like, please subscribe, please share. If you don't know already, I do a live stream Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. Pacific time, where we look at the week ahead's transits and we get the angels' advice for traversing those transits. I invite you to join me. It's a fun group of people. And please hit that like, the subscribe, the notification bell, so you know when content is coming out. And I will see you very soon, Leo. Peace out.